Anybody that supports Sharia law in this country should be deported.
So do you know what Sharia law is?
Yes, but it doesn't have
Do you know what it
rights.
is?
Are you praying for Sharia law?
Of course, me praying 5 times a day is Sharia.
So why should we be so worried about that the Sharia, as they try to say, is barbaric? The Sharia gives no contentment. The Sharia doesn't give a way of life. Doesn't create stability. These are all doubts which are being thrown into our mind, into our hearts.
The legs.
Sure. Fire.
The fire brigade.
Black.
White.
Terrorist.
The Muslims.
So why should we be so worried about that the Sharia, as they try to say, is barbaric? The Sharia gives no contentment. The Sharia doesn't give a way of life. Doesn't create stability. These are all doubts which are being thrown into our mind, into our hearts.
Anybody that supports Sharia law in this country should be deported.
Deception is a terrible thing. It can come internally, it can come externally. It comes through the mass media, it comes through the mouth of people, and sometimes even within the mind of the individual, there can be forms of deception.
I've been a journalist for about 25 years, and I was educated to lie, to betray, and not to tell the truth to the public. But seeing right now, within the last months, how the German and American media tries to bring war to the people in Europe.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be.
And it is not right what my colleagues do and have done in the past, because they are bribed to betray the people, not only in Germany, all over Europe.
Anybody that supports Sharia law in this country should be deported.
So do you know what Sharia law is?
What are the forms of punishment inside the Sharia? You really think it's as these tabloids, junk mail that people read? Chop off a man's hand, amputate a man's hand, who stole a bottle of milk? And you're trying to question the Sharia? You're trying to say the Sharia has a barbaric element? You can even to this day, no matter what takes place, what people may say about Saudi Arabia, you can leave your Lamborghini. Leave it with your keys inside there. Go to McDonald's, eat something, come back, go to read your prayers, come back and sit in your ride and go home. Try that over here outside.
The martyr, when I asked people about so-called Masons and Illuminati, and I said, listen, Masons are people that I've known many Masons in my life. They're people that are very well acquainted with the history of both Europe and Africa. As a matter of fact, one of the degrees is to study the Quran and realize the organizational capacity that it has for a society in restructuring the world when Europe lived in absolute chaos and darkness.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Today's discussion will be revolving around the topic of maqasid al-sharia. It is a very important topic to understand. It might sound complicated, and inshallah I'm going to do my best to make it as simple as possible so that anybody can understand it, but it is a very important topic to understand because as the ummah returns to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are going to look back to the Quran and Sunnah and try to identify the ahkam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that generally we have not been able to figure out or have not known in the past. So now as we're going and studying and taking courses in ilm and so on and so forth, we're now starting to refer more and more to the Quran and Sunnah. But the problem is, as we turn back to the Quran and Sunnah and seek the hukm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we do not understand how to perform this process, then what will happen is we'll come to the wrong conclusion. As we discussed the topic of ijtihad in previous reminders, and we talked about shura and the role of shura, today is another obstacle in the path of finding the hukm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is misunderstanding maqasid al-sharia, and from it the topic of al-masalih al-mursala, which I'll mention briefly at the end of the video. But the focus today will be on the topic of maqasid al-sharia. So first let's identify what maqasid al-sharia is, and then we'll understand how it's being misunderstood and misapplied and essentially causing us to misunderstand the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maqasid is plural for the word maqsad, and maqsad comes from the word qasd, which means to have the intention to do something, to have a particular objective to work towards, an end to work towards, and so on. So the meaning of maqasid, it means the objectives. And then we have al-sharia, which is the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore the meaning of it is the objectives that the sharia achieves when applied on a society. And so essentially they've been identified by the scholars, they've been categorized as generally the protections in society, the things that Islam protects in society. And they've been categorized as 5 or 6, and more accurately, they've been categorized as 8. So the correct understanding is the full 8 number of categories. And they are the protection of the deen. So Islam has rules and regulations to protect Islam from attack and insults